Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Morgan State University School of Education and Urban Studies Research and Scholarship webinar series. I'm so pleased to see all of you, familiar faces and some new faces. Also, thank you for your active participation in education as a faculty, as a student, as a community member during this unprecedented time. We appreciate your support. Meanwhile, please continue using the chat room for your introduction. You can share your affiliation, discipline, contact information if you wish to strengthen your professional network. This virtual series will host several panel discussions on a wide range of topics related to educational pedagogies, innovation technologies, international initiatives, and of course, research and publication throughout this year. I see some people in the waiting room. If Ms. Garrett bring them in, I appreciate. Thank you. For the spring semester, this spring semester, I have scheduled 9 sessions, mainly for the both faculty and the students from our school and outside. In a few minutes, you will hear from our panelists and the guest on the theme of navigating innovative online teaching and learning during this COVID-19. In all the sessions, you will read the suggested material, bring some questions to our speakers, and share your own program and perspective on the topic. Each invited speaker will take about 3 to 5 minutes to present on the recent publication, and they will also answer your questions and then later participate in a group discussion. So our agenda here is fairly simple. We have a schedule about 70 minutes, that's ahead of us. So we begin the program with the short remarks from Professor Dr. Glenda Prime. She's my dean in the School of Education and Urban Studies. Her recent book is on centering rest in STEM education. She will briefly talk about the university, the school, and some of our outstanding program. Time, I know you are busy. Over to you for a brief remarks.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. And I am so pleased to welcome all of you to this webinar series. I am so grateful to Dr. Bister for his work in organizing this. The School of Education and Urban Studies at Morgan State University takes very seriously its role in becoming a research hub for all things urban education. We are part of Morgan State University in an urban area, and the university has been designated by the state as its premier urban research institution. And we take that designation very seriously, and we want to focus our research and teaching around addressing the urban issues that impact education within the state and nationally. We take as our vision being a global institution that's addressing both urban and global problems through innovation and transformation. And this webinar series, organized by Dr. Krishna Vishna, is one of the efforts in that direction. Your topic, the topic for today's deliberation on innovative ways for online instruction, is really very timely. Online instruction has been with us for a while, certainly predated the pandemic. But since the pandemic, it has expanded and has become the major way in which we are able to conduct instruction. Prior to the pandemic, there were moves in this direction, largely confined to higher education, and to a large extent, dominated by certain institutions here in the United States that seemed to have pioneered the growth in online education in the higher ed sector. Once the pandemic hit, we had to expand greatly the use of online technologies in the delivery of instruction. And it has spread now, not just to higher ed, but right across the whole spectrum from grade school all the way up to higher education. And that has meant that we have to start thinking differently about online learning. Prior to the pandemic, we were concerned in our research primarily with questions of, could we, should we engage in online learning, online instruction? We were concerned largely with comparing, through the research, comparing the educational outcomes from learners who had been instructed via online instruction with those who were in face-to-face. And a lot of the research was looking at comparing achievement levels, comparing outcomes between those two groups. Once the pandemic hit, it was no longer a question of could we had to. And we had to do it at very short notice. And so I think for us now at this stage, we have shown that we can do it. We have demonstrated to ourselves and to the world that we are able to instruct via online. But I think right now our research ought to focus on the question. Certainly for me, the most important question at this point is who wins and who loses as we engage more widely in online instruction. We have known for a long time that teaching and learning is a highly cultural activity. We've known that for a long time. And so the question now is, since the online instruction has changed the culture of learning, we need to ask ourselves, how is this interacting with the culture, both racial, ethnic, culture of the students, socioeconomic, all of those other characteristics of students that impact the culture that they bring to the classroom. And for me, the big question is, how is the online learning culture interacting with student cultures to impact outcome? And that's why I frame it as who wins and who loses. Who is this being disadvantaged? And how can we modify our online instruction in ways that all subgroups of the population win and everyone benefits equally, that no group is disadvantaged? The pandemic has shown us that there are major equity issues when we switch to online learning. And so that for me is one of the most important questions facing us as we think about online learning. The School of Education and Urban Studies at Morgan has a number of different programs. We have 5 doctoral programs within the school. We have teacher education and professional development. We have advanced studies, leadership and policy with 5 doctoral programs. We have a Center for Excellence in Math and Sciences, and we have Family and Consumer Sciences. And all of our programs have to focus and address what for me is this very important question. How can we structure online learning so that everybody wins? How can our research be focused on helping us better understand the ways in which online learning should be structured so that everybody wins? Our community college leadership program has been an online program for many years, and since 2010, in fact. And we have acquired through that program a wealth of knowledge about online learning. Dr. Bister is one of the professors in that program. And it's not surprising to me that he is organizing this part of the webinar series on online learning. That's his area of focus in his work. That's his everyday life. So I welcome you to the first of this series, and I look forward to really you're having fruitful and really enlightening deliberations through the course of the webinar series. I'm sorry that I cannot stay for the entire series. We have ongoing right now a cabinet meeting at the university, and it's focused on money. And you know, that's really important. I've got to run off to that meeting. I want to be sure that the School of Education gets its share of the money. So have a fruitful conference, everyone. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, Dr. Vista.
Thank you, Dean Prime. Appreciate it for your thoughts and leadership. It's truly blessed to have you here. As you see on my screen here, the bigger question of the day is to look into, as a professor and as students, you may have adopted several teaching strategies and learning activities since the beginning of the pandemic. Individually, write the name of the one or more of the most effective teaching strategies you have been using. You can use the chat room, but I will call you your name later on to let us know more about the one particular pedagogy or the learning activities or teaching strategies that you have been using. So that's the bigger question of the day. Please continue using your chat room for the response, but I will call you later on. You can use your digital hand raise later on.